This is the card I'll be showing you how to make today. It's called a Z Fold card. It opens up and is a really cool interactive card, but also it's highlighting some really pretty flowers. I'm using the Happiness Abounds stamp set along with the Blossoming Happiness dies. And there's also DSP that matches this as well, which is where I got the flowers. It is really, really pretty. But anyways, let's get started. So I'm going to first start out with scoring. So grab your Simply Scorer or whatever you prefer, tool you prefer to use to score. I'm going to grab a 5.5 by 8.5 sheet of fresh freesia, and we're going to score at 2 1/8 inches. And then also at 4 1/4 inches. Set this piece aside here. You're also going to grab a 2.5 by 8 inch piece of fresh freesia. You're going to score that at 4 inches, and then again also at 6 inches. So you can go ahead and put up your Simply Scorer, and then I'm going to grab the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder here, and we are going to this 4-inch section. So we've got, I don't know that you can see on the camera here, but I've scored basically at 2 and 2 since this is 8 inches. So you should have the 4-inch block here. This is what you're going to emboss. So go ahead and stick it in there like so. Make sure it's straight, and then grab your platform for your die cutting machine, and you're going to use the #1 platform, put your 3D embossing folder here, and then put your #4 gray plate on top. Go ahead and run that through the die cutting machine, and when you get done, you should end up with something that looks like this. I know it's hard to see, but it's got this really cool texture here on this piece that will add a really nice dimension to your card. So go ahead and set that aside. We're going to die cut a few more things. We're going to take a piece of gorgeous grape, and then also I took the Fabulous Frames die. Oops, I'll flip it over here for you. And I took this label die out of this die set, and we're going to die cut that. So grab your platform again. So you'll take #1, #2, and lay a #3 plexiglass plate there. And then also your gorgeous grape with your frame. Also, if you want to make sure your die stays in place, you can use some Post-it tape. That's one of my favorite new tricks. But it's super helpful to just take a little bit of that and place it on the die there, and then lay your next plexiglass plate and run it through, and that way your die stays still while you're running it through the die cutting machine. So once you finish that, you should end up with something like this. It's really pretty. I don't know that you can see, but they've got these nice embossed little squirrely lines on the edge of the die. So it's absolutely gorgeous here. So we'll set this piece aside. I took a 1 7/8 by 2 3/8 inch of Whisper White cardstock, and this will go in the inside. So I grabbed my gorgeous grape ink pad along with these little floral pieces. They're this little floral bunch here. And just ink that up very lightly. And I'm going to stamp that kind of at the very bottom corner there. And then what we can do is take some Wink Stella. You know that, guys, this is my favorite little extra embellishment to add to a card. And also this Wink Stella will pull some of the purple out just to give it a faint little shade of purple in the middle of the flower petals there. If you want to get really fancy, and this is something that's kind of cool, you can actually color your whole frame with Wink Stella, and it'll turn into this really pretty purple, gorgeous grape sparkly frame. So that's something that's really fun that I added also to this card. Alright, so once you finish that, you'll see it really glistens and picks up in the light, and that's what we want. So color till you're content there, and we'll set this aside and set our little insert aside here. Next, I will start with die cutting the flowers. So one really cool thing is not only does the dies die cut the stamps, but also, this is my favorite part, it die cuts the DSP too. So I took this sheet of DSP and I used the flowers for the front of the card here. So I've used some of the lighter fresh freesia and some of the darker purple and blues, and then I also picked up some of the leaves, which there's dies for the leaves too, which is absolutely awesome. So so that's what I did. I just grabbed some of these floral dies here and went ahead and die cut some of the flowers and leaves. So that's really cool and awesome. So I'm going to set this aside here. And then last but not least, on the opposite side of this DSP, we've got this really cool kind of like paintbrush stroked DSP, which I thought was really pretty. The purples and into the blues here. So I cut a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece, and then also a 1 7/8 by 5 1/4 inch piece of DSP here. So now I think we're ready to start assembling our card. So I'll come back and pull out the 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 sheet of cardstock, and you'll first go ahead and fold this in half, and then at the 2 1/8 inch score mark you'll fold the flap back like so. So this is what you should have, like that. Now you can go ahead and grab some Tombow and go ahead and glue down your DSP here. So we'll put this on the back side here with the darker purple on the top, and then put your flap down, and we're going to take the 1 7/8 by 5 1/4 inch DSP and put this on this front little flap here, like so. Alrighty, now what we can do is we have this, which this 4 inch strip here has the embossed side, and then there's this little little fold back of the flap here. So we have the 4, and then you fold up the 2 inches and 2 inches in the back here. So to attach this, I would flip over. If you have it layered like this, you can glue this part, and that way it'll still open up but stick to your card like so without gluing your whole card together. So go ahead and fold up these two little 2 inch pieces here, and put some Tombow on the back side of each of these sides here. And then this is not going to go totally across your card. So I would first kind of leave this open, kind of place this first one down, and then you can go ahead and kind of close it and lay this down and make sure it's straight. Put some pressure on it, make sure it sticks, and you've got good score lines here. So when you open it up, you should have something that looks like this. Okay, now grab your frame here. You can have some fun. I took the mini dimensionals here and just kind of added them on the frame to add some extra height and dimension. So have fun at that and add as much as you want. And you will place that on the front here, the embossed side. So right in the center, like so. Now the fun part comes where we start like adding all our flowers here. So I also have some normal size dimensionals, and you can grab some of those. You can also, another cool trick is to actually physically glue some of the flowers down. That will add some depth to your layering. So figure out how you want to layer them in here. And then I'll take this one and kind of put it up towards the top. And we can put this darker blue one in here. And then this lighter fresh freesia flower, like so. And then take your leaves, keep adding the dimensionals. And I added this one down here at the bottom. And then you can take this little guy. Actually, I'm going to use one of the smaller dimensionals. And I'll add him right up here. Perfect. Now, one thing that I did is took some of the fresh freesia open weave and I tied it in a little bow, and then you can add a glue dot on the back of it. And then I just kind of like placed that right up here into the flowers, made it look like a little bouquet. You can add our little white piece that we put the floral little sprig on, and we'll put that in the inside here. Now I have some of the adhesive backed hexagons, and I use the black ones, and you can have fun and kind of place those in the bigger flowers, and I think they add like a nice little element to that. And last but not least, I took the gorgeous grape ink and the word friend that's in the Happiness Abounds stamp set, and we're going to stamp that as far right as possible, but down at the bottom, and also like staying on the DSP like that. There you go. And then one last thing, this is my favorite. So I took some of the shimmery crystal effects, and I actually, and this is one thing that you want to do the very, very, very last step, so that you don't, because so it doesn't get smeared or messed up. The crystal effects, shimmery crystal effects, actually takes a little while to dry, so that's why I kind of saved this step for the very, very last. But squirt you a little bit of that on there, and kind of use the tip to spread it around. But once it dries, it adds a very, very pretty accent and dimension to your card, and just kind of like differentiates the different layers, I guess, of flowers. So, oops, wrong lid. So once you're done with that, this is kind of how it looks, not dried, but I'll pull out my original sample here. But it kind of adds this really glassy look to it. But anyways, there you go. It's super quick, super simple card, but looks really, really good. So anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.